Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. I just got done watching The Good Doctor, and now it's time for my The Good Doctor recap. So to recap on tonight's episode, it basically centered around, I guess you could say, judgment in the workplace. And that's something that autistic people have to deal with a lot. We saw, now I'm still learning all the characters' names, but Melendez is basically kind of Sean's enemy right now. He doesn't believe that Sean is capable of being a doctor just because he has autism. So he has him doing all the work that all the other surgeons don't want to do when he clearly is capable of more things. He can do these surgeries, but Melendez does not believe in him. And we see that Sean's ordering these different tests, and some might be unnecessary, but as we saw in the episode, that we need to trust Sean's judgment. These were necessary and actually save somebody's life. And because of Melendez's ignorance, he could have lost a life on his hands. Because Melendez found out that Sean was ordering these tests, and he thought they're all, these useless, worthless tests, and isn't really letting Sean do his job. So he tells Sean that he can't order any more tests, and that basically a nurse is his boss for the whole day. And Sean's also having a hard time with, I guess they said sarcasm, if they're being serious or if they're joking. And I deal with that too. I have a hard time sometimes I have a hard time knowing if people are being serious or funny. And, add that into a hospital, that could be challenging at times. So, he kind of made one of the patients more nervous than he needed to be, but Sean himself was struggling, and he honestly didn't have to be. It was mostly because of Melendez, because he's telling them, first of all, he's telling Sean that not to order any more of these tests when Sean knows that these are necessary, that these are helpful in diagnosing patients. And because he's telling him that, I guess about his bedside manner, like that he needs to be calmer with patients and let them know they're going to be okay. And I think the girl doctor was also, telling him about that too. But they actually see that, well, Sean actually sees the surgery they're doing. It's a very complicated surgery, trying to remove this tumor, and they notice during surgery that it's impossible and the lady's gonna die in like 3 months. But Sean says the surgery is not impossible, it's just really difficult to do. So the surgery team meets with Melendez and suggests this idea, and surprisingly, Melendez is for it. And the only reason I believe that he is for it is because he didn't know that that was Sean's idea. If he would have known that that was Sean's idea, there is no way in hell he would have did the surgery. So the other person on the surgery team's taking credit for Sean's idea, and we actually see Sean get a voice in a way. We see him actually going above and beyond, because this little girl they thought just had a tummy ache, and of course Melendez just, no, it's just a tummy ache because of stress and because her parents are fighting. But Sean ordered the test even though it was against Melendez's orders, and knows that there's something wrong. So he finds out there's something seriously wrong with the girl. Like, she could be dead by morning. He actually goes to the girl's house, and even though the dad was a bit of an ass and said that he's a freak and weird and shuts the door in his face, Sean says that I'm gonna I'm bas- he's basically said that he's he knows he's weird. I don't think Sean's weird personally, but Sean said that he's gonna stand here and knock all night on this door until he lets him treat his daughter. And sure enough, the daughter was in like serious condition, so they rush her to the hospital, and Sean is able to save her life. So you see here, because of ignorance, not only from Melendez but from the girl's doctor, that if they would have just basically, their ignorance is costing people's lives, because Sean clearly knows what he's doing, and they think just because he has autism that he can't be a doctor, and that his opinion doesn't matter, and no matter what he says, even if it's the right thing, that it's the wrong thing. So I think it's just ridiculous personally. I mean, autistic people have to deal with this constantly in the workplace. And we saw another thing that started at the beginning of the episode. We saw that Sean has a lot of routines in the morning, which is something that people with autism tend to have. They have like a routine for everything, including me. Everything has a routine. And he had a very strict morning routine to get ready, and it had to do with an alarm. Like, he has a certain amount of time he does like push-ups or gets a shower, or I believe he was measuring the floor at one point. So he does things for a certain amount of time. How much time? It didn't say. But what I did notice is that he didn't have a bed, and I thought that was so sad. I mean, he was sleeping on the floor, but then at the end of this episode, he actually had a mattress to sleep on. And we also saw more of Sean's past, how him and his brother went door to door begging people for money because, well, they're two boys living on a bus. They need money for food, so it's a necessity for them to survive. And we also see that even though Melendez has prejudices against Sean, we see that others also have his back in the hospital. I'm not sure about the whole surgery team yet, but the president of the hospital definitely fights for Sean, and not sure who his name is, but whoever is Melendez's boss, he wanted Sean to be in the surgery room when Melendez ordered him to go home. And he was talking to the president of the hospital, saying that it's a win-win for him, because if Sean succeeds, he gets credit for it, but if he loses, then he becomes president of the hospital. So in a way, he's helping Sean, but in a way, he's not doing it for Sean's benefit. It's for Melendez's boss's own benefit. And I gotta say, my least favorite character is Melendez. I mean, you heard my whole recap how much I don't like Melendez, but he bluntly said when him and the president of the hospital were having lunch that he doesn't think Sean can do this because he has autism, and I think that's just cruel. And I hope eventually Melendez overcomes his prejudices, but then it goes back to what Sean said last week in the pilot episode, saying that, why were you rude to me to start with? Why were you rude to me when we first met, and now you're my best friend? Now you're acting nice, now you want to be my friend. Which time are you lying? So even if Melinda does change his attitude, me personally, if that happened to me, I wouldn't forget who they were and how they treated me in the beginning, and how they did not want me to succeed, and how far and great lengths they went to make sure I didn't succeed. So, yeah, I definitely love this show. I definitely think it has great autism representation, and it definitely shows a lot of what autistic people go through on a daily basis, both their strengths and weaknesses, and also the achievements and the prejudice and ignorance they go through. So, if you guys want to check out The Good Doctor, it is on Mondays, 10 p.m. on ABC. Till next time, stay regal.